What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a showcase of my newest rank 3 champion, Red Goblin. Now, I want to preface this video by saying Red Goblin is not a short form content character, so there is no short form content in this video. He's not made for that. He was made at a time where short form content wasn't really prioritized. It was much more medium, long form incursions, Everest style stuff. That's where he works. That's what he's good for. So that's what we're going to be showing. But I do have a couple of medium-esque form fights to show you, as well as some crazy stuff with synergies, because Red Goblin to me is a synergy demon. There's a specific team of two other champions that just elevate this champion to a whole other level. But on his own, he's still okay. Now, I do like the base level Red Goblin a lot. I'm a huge fan of the character. I always have been. I've been on his side since he came out way back in the day with Cosmic Ghost Rider. Obviously, he got overshadowed because of Cosmic Ghost Rider, but it is what it is. He's here now at rank 3. I believe Sig 61. I gave him 1 Sig Stone when I had some Sig Stones for the first time, just because he's a special champion in my heart. But the base Red Goblin rotation is as follows. You want to go for your special 1 at 1.9 bars of power, ending on a light attack to gain your Energize buff. So how Red Goblin works is, whenever he gains a buff for the first time, that buff is paused indefinitely. But whenever he gains another buff, so if you trigger, whether it's the same buff or just another one of his cycling buffs, that previous buff starts to expire, and the new buff is now paused until you gain another one, so on and so forth. So ending on a light attack, activating a special triggers an Energize, ending on a medium attack triggers a Fury, and then charging a heavy attack triggers an Aptitude. So all of those buffs correspond to different debuffs he places on the opponent. So you want to heavy charge into your special 3 to gain your double Aptitude, and then you gain this mode called Frenzy, and that basically just doubles the buffs you gain. Then, after you throw your special 3, you want to end your medium. You want to end on a medium, throwing a special 2 to trigger the Fury, and you just saw some really nice Incinerate damage there. Very, very solid. Again, he's not made for short form content. That was 118, 550,000. Not terrible, but it's not really where he's made to work. So, let me go over one more time exactly what the buffs are and what the debuffs that correspond to the buffs are as well. So, the Energize, whenever you knock the opponent down with a heavy attack or use your special 2, if you have an Energize on you, you will place a power drain on the opponent. As you can see, up in Winter Soldier's health bar, the furthest debuff on the right, that's a power drain that comes from having the Energize. If you have an Aptitude on you, that is an Incinerate. And also, other buffs will trigger Incinerates if they're not corresponding to Red Goblin's personal buffs like Fury, Aptitude, Energize. So anything other than Fury and Aptitude will be an Incinerate when you knock the opponent down with a heavy or use your special 2. So keep that in mind because it's going to be important later. And then finally, if you have a Fury buff and you knock the opponent down with a heavy or throw your special 2, you will place an Armor Break debuff, which is fairly potent. I don't exactly remember the potency, but it's not a low potency Armor Break. It's solid. So we'll get back to that special 2 one more time just to show off what that damage looks like. So no synergies, no boost or anything like this, and Winter Soldier is going to die from this. That's almost 16,000 damage from that Incinerate. I threw a heavy attack to add even more. The heavy attack adds debuffs that you have, but they have a reduced duration. So one thing to keep in mind about that is the debuffs have a reduced duration, but you still apply them. Now, let's do that same fight again, but with the Odin pre-fights. I know we're starting off slow here. Believe me, after this clip, the next clips are going to be fast, like high damage, fast-paced stuff. Don't worry. This is just the baseline showing off Red Goblin to people that maybe don't know how to use Red Goblin. Believe me, it gets better. I promise you. I promise you. But applying these Odin pre-fights to Red Goblin is such a huge benefit to him. Because like I mentioned, buffs, including Aptitude and anything else aside from Fury and Energize that are on Red Goblin, will trigger Incinerates when you throw your special 2 or when you knock the opponent down with a heavy attack and you get that Afterburner. So, the rotation remains the same with the Odin pre-fight buffs. You want to end on a light attack before your special 1. You want a heavy charge into your special 3 to gain your aptitudes that are doubled because you're in Frenzy. And now, because you have that Energize, the aptitudes are increasing the potency of the Energize. So you can speed up to your special 2, and remember to end on a medium attack before throwing your special 2 to maximize damage. And Winter Soldier's health pool is going to shoot down here. 32k crits, 47k crit there, I believe, and even more incinerate damage. The time difference isn't as grand, but I'm just telling you right now, in longer form content, you will definitely notice a time difference for the buffs being on Red Goblin from Odin compared to not. So, right now, before we go here, I want to tell you the exact synergy team that I'm running. So clearly I have the Odin pre-fights here. I have the Herald of Galactus buff from Galen. I have Valkyrie on the team, which is giving Red Goblin an additional buff for having the Odin pre-fights. And then I have Jack-o'-lantern, which is a massive synergy for Red Goblin. I believe it doubles the Carnage Bomb debuffs that he deals on his special 2 specifically. So you're getting even more damage from your debuffs. So those are all of the synergies I have, and of course, I'm at 20% health for a reason. If you have the Herald of Galactus synergy for Red Goblin, and you have that Herald buff, you can trigger your Frenzy permanently if you're below 41% health. So, just being at 20% health, you have Frenzy permanently. Now, obviously, this is unrealistic, doing this full synergy team, but Red Goblin, he's a champion that really likes the full synergy team, and I would use him with a team like this. Maybe not the whole team, but definitely with Odin and Jack-o'-lantern, because those two champions on their own are incredible and super useful. So it's not like running the team is going to be a huge detriment, and you're only going to have Red Goblin, because you're going to have 2 other incredible champions. Look at this damage. So right now, it's good, right? It's solid. It's going to get better. So let's not ignore what just happened right there. Another underrated, underutilized, never talked about piece of Red Goblin's kit is his special 1 and what it does when debuffs are on the opponent. So every time you throw your special 1 with Red Goblin, if a debuff's on the opponent, your special 1's going to deal double damage as a form of burst damage. And that just keeps going up for the debuffs that you have. So if you have 5 debuffs, it deals 5 times the damage, so on and so forth, right? So Juggernaut's health went from 41 right here. That burst damage is dealing 30,000, right, per hit. 30,000 per hit. And that damage just keeps going up and up for the amount of debuffs you have on the opponent. Crazy stuff. Not to mention a 38k crit on the final hit of that special 1. I'm telling you, it's going to get even crazier. Just watch. With this full synergy team, you can skip the rotation for the most part and just go straight to your special 2. You don't have to worry about a special 1 or a special 3 beforehand, because if you have the Galen synergy and you're below that threshold of health, you have Frenzy triggered automatically, and you can just go wild. Now again, like I mentioned, this is very unrealistic, but Red Goblin with a full synergy team is cracked, and I'm showing you that right now, because man, I love this champion. He is so good, and look at this damage. My god. So after this special 2, I probably could just stop hitting Rhino and he would be dead. He would just be absolutely dead. He's taking, I believe, 15,000 damage per second from that Incinerate, and there he goes, 550,000 health in 31 seconds with this synergy team. Now, obviously, without the Odin, or without the Herald of Galactus pre-fight, you still could just go for your special 2 right away with this team and find fairly similar results. The Herald buff is definitely doing a bit of work, but it's not doing the most work in the entire world. The Frenzy is nice, but it is not necessary, and I want to make that clear. So, now we're just going, again, fighting this storm. We're going straight for special 2 here, do a little medium combo delay to guarantee I get enough power, and yeah, that is 14,000 per tick, so 30,000 incinerate damage per second, and there's still a lot of duration on that. Storm is already dead, 27 seconds, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Just wild stuff. Truly wild stuff. Now, I'm going to show you this Vision fight, and then I'm going to skip to Wolverine, because I wanted to try and kill Wolverine in a single Special 2, and you'll see how the results of that fare in just a moment here. But we'll fight this Vision, and then I'll skip around to that Wolverine fight, and then I have one more fight to show you with just 3 of the champions: Red Goblin, Odin, and Jack-o'-lantern. I want to call that like the Gods and Demons team, because Jack-o'-lantern and Red Goblin are very much like demons. They are very scary. And then Odin's a god. So it just kind of makes sense, the Gods and Demons team. I like it. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comments down below. The thing I like about that team is they're all useful. I mentioned that a little earlier. Jack-o'-lantern is incredibly useful, and so is Odin. So it just makes sense that if you run them together, you're going to have a very good time. And it's not going to be a burden to have all 3 of them on the team, because Red Goblin can do stuff like this if you have those 2 champions specifically, Odin and Jack-o'-lantern. So, we're at Wolverine now, 400,000 health, constant regen. My goal here is to kill him in a single Special 2. So I'm going to throw my Special 1 after a heavy charge to gain Aptitude. So now I have 3 Aptitude buffs on top of all the other buffs I have, including that True Sense buff that I get from being in Frenzy. And now I'm going to build up to my Special 2, toss a Relic before throwing my Special 2. Ideally, you have the Thor Relic on Red Goblin for the additional Aptitude buff. That is the best one to run for him. And let's just see what happens. Is Wolverine going to die from this Special 2? Yes. Yes, he is. Eliminated that health pool. Completely eliminated. So, again, he started at 100%, 90, 97%, 98%, 98% basically. First hit, 29k, 16 Incinerate debuffs. Second hit, 40k, 32 Incinerate debuffs. And then the Afterburner damage is, let's see, what's the Afterburner damage doing? The Afterburner damage is doing like 37,000 per tick, on top of a 53k crit and an 18k non-crit, as well as having the Incinerates ticking the entire time. So it's just kind of wild. And that Incinerate tick is going for over 30,000 damage. Crazy stuff. Absolutely insane stuff. So the final video I have to show you here is against Abyss of Legends Iron Man Infinity War. I'm going to skip to the part where the fight actually starts and not show you the pre-fights here. So this is just Red Goblin with Odin and with Jack-o'-lantern. Is the video paused? Yes, it is. It's just with Odin and with Jack-o'-lantern. Those are the 2 most important synergies for Red Goblin. Obviously, like I showed at the beginning, you can use him without the synergies, and it's definitely fine. But if you have access to these synergies, you want to be using them, because it just elevates Red Goblin to a whole other level. It makes him so strong, and you really want to be running those synergies in long-form content, especially in places like Incursions. He's actually insane for Incursions with stuff like Buff Cornucopia, because all of those buffs that you gain will just become Incinerates, and if you have the Odin synergy or Jack-o'-lantern, I think in Incursions, Jack-o'-lantern is more important than Odin. If you have those buffs from Buff Cornucopia and the Jack-o'-lantern synergy, you're going to basically kill everything in one single Special 2. So, Red Goblin is crazy in that regard. So, for this Iron Man, I have to change up my rotation a little bit to ensure I can get to my Special 3 without losing all my power. So I went for a medium attack into a Special 1 first to gain the Fury buff, and now I've thrown my light attack into a Special 1 for the Energize to, what's it called? Gain that increased power gain. I'm not sure what I was doing here. I meant to throw my heavy attack, or I meant to toss my Special 3, but I accidentally hit my Relic button. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really change anything. Now we've thrown that Special 3. If you haven't noticed, the Special 3 applies 7 random debuffs to the opponent. So ideally you get 1 of each, so you can just push the opponent to 3 bars of power and never worry about them throwing it. Let's throw a massive Special 2 here with 31 Incinerates. Look at that Incinerate damage, 32,000 damage per second. And of course we have the heavy attack bombs dropping even more of those Incinerate debuffs on the opponent. Iron Man's health is just ticking away here. By by the time I get to another special 2, he's going to be basically dead. Yeah, so he's at 28% now after a single rotation. That was basically 2 million health in one single rotation for Iron Man, because we brought him down from 100% health, or I guess 90-ish if you want to be specific, to 25. So, yeah, basically dead. Now we're throwing another special 2 without the Frenzy, and you can see that the damage is still incredibly high. That's 10,000 damage per second from the Incinerates, and we're dealing pretty massive damage on our basic attacks from just having those armor breaks and those furies. And Iron Man is gone. He's gone. So that was Abyss Iron Man Infinity War in 2 minutes and 24 seconds from Red Goblin. I love this champion. If you guys don't see it, I totally understand. He is a champion that is very specific. And if you don't like him, you don't vibe with him, I totally get that. I love him. I've always been a huge fan of Red Goblin, and I can't wait to continue to use him at the rank 3 power level, because I know there's going to be content in the near future where I'm going to look at it and I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm using Red Goblin, and I cannot wait for the day that happens, hopefully sooner rather than later. But, guys, thank you so much for watching this showcase video on my newest rank 3 7-star champion, Red Goblin. If you liked the video, and I really hope that you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button and also hitting like. Both of those actions are incredibly helpful for the channel, and it helps show the YouTube algorithm that I am making content people are enjoying. Once again, thank you all so very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.